Hey y'all, it's your girl Stephanie and this is Wrestling in Color. Please make sure you thumbs up or thumbs down this video. Please. Make sure you comment so we can have the conversation. Please join me on my Twitter and my Instagram. Those are in the bar at the top of this YouTube page. Please turn on your notifications so you know if something's posted and what I got going on. And let's dive in. So, a lot of wrestling's been going on, a lot's been happening, and it's too much wrestling if you ask me, especially if you follow Major League Wrestling, New Japan Wrestling, Impact, fucking Reality of Wrestling, the European Wrestling, I forgot what it's called, Ring of listen, if you following all that wrestling on top of the what's going on mainstream with AEW and WWE, good luck to you. This is why I specifically said in this podcast that I will not review. Now what I'll do is I watch the shows and kind of pluck and maybe do like a quick reference, but there's no way I would sit here and review WWE, AEW in the weeks alone with them two stations, not adding the independent ones. WWE has Raw, which is 3 hours, SmackDown, which is 2 hours, AEW is 2 hours. That's literally 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I didn't even add in the 2 hours from NXT. 8, 9 hours in 1 week of wrestling. I'm gonna tell y'all now, it's gonna be some times where I don't know what the fuck is going on and I have to go back and review. Somebody said Tom Phillips got thrown into the wall this past Tuesday by Luke Harper, and I didn't even know that, and it was unscripted. I go back and he sure did toss him, the chair, and everybody into the wall. I'm like, what the fuck? So bear with me on that. This place is to talk about some hot topics and things that need to be discussed in the world of wrestling. So on this particular topic, we're going to talk about what AEW and other promotions get right and what the WWE gets wrong and continuously gets wrong. And that's diversity and inclusion. Yes, diversity. A word that I really don't care for. Because if you want to talk about diversity on the political side, that's a whole other issue. But when it comes to diversity in sports and athletics and things like that, representation matters, whether you don't like it or not. Period. Inclusion is everyone. Like Finn Balor, wrestling is for everyone. To the point where y'all thought he was homosexual. No, he's married and he's a heterosexual. He's just saying wrestling is for everyone, and he decided to take up the cause of the rainbow flag and the homosexual plight, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So I was out here in the internet streets and I came across an article written on the Washington Post, and if I don't forget, I'll put it down in the link. It's about Nyla Rose and diversity and inclusion. The article starts, upstart AEW is taking WWE head on with a focus on diversity and inclusion. So let's dive into it. On October 2nd, Nyla Rose will compete for the AEW World Women's Champion at Capital One Arena on the first episode of AEW's new show, Dynamite. That's going to be on TNT. The night won't just be momentous for Rose, but for the entire pro wrestling world. And I quote, "We expect the ring to look like the world does," said Brett White, general manager for TNT, TBS, and True TV. "When you open up the prism and spread the lens wider and show people that you, as a consumer, are represented, that's really empowering for people." The origin of AEW is a perfect storm of events. It began with the trio of wrestlers, ex-WWE talent Cody Rhodes, and the tag team brothers of Matt and Nick Jackson, who performed as the Young Bucks, taking a Twitter bet that they couldn't sell out an arena with more than 10,000 fans. A feat not accomplished by anybody but WWE in the years. Nyla Rose cuts an imposing figure in the wrestling ring. In pro wrestling parlance, the native beast is a monster heel, ragdolling small opponents with a dominating mean streak. She debuted in 2013 on the independent circuit, and she signed with All Elite Wrestling, and for the first time in 20 years, that wrestling's own dominant player, World Wrestling Entertainment, will have a major competition. So now we have the Wednesday Night Wars is what we're calling it. When I was growing up, It was Tuesday night, I believe. No, excuse me, Monday night. That's why Raw is War was in reference to the Monday Night Wars. Now we're having the Wednesday Night Wars, and I'm excited about it because if I haven't explained it before, this is like pivotal. You really get to see what someone can do against the granddaddy of wrestling, which is WWE. Along with having significant financial backing, AEW has, in money terms, their backer has more billions than Vince McMahon. I'm just saying. AEW is also a once-in-a-generation opportunity to present pro wrestling differently, with the focus on diversity and inclusion in the ring, in the front office, and in the audience. And while AEW is loaded with ex-WWE stars and indie darlings, it's making a significant bet on a relatively unknown Rose, who is not only a Native American of Oneida heritage, but the first openly transgender wrestler signed to a major U.S. promotion. Now, she's transgender, but you also have Sonny Kiss, who just had an interview with Chris Van Fleet about him being the first openly gay wrestler. He is also signed to All Elite Wrestling, and he is Black American. So they're diving into this, you guys. They're like all in. I'm excited about it. What drew these top wrestlers away from WWE's black hole-like pull was the opportunity to do something on their terms. For them, the heavily scripted, homogenized wrestling of WWE is too constructive and doesn't allow them to do what they like to do, either in the ring or on the microphone. AEW maintains that that will not be the case in this company. Wrestlers will be given the freedom to create the art as they see fit. The actual music you make as a wrestler in their own words, is what Cody Rhodes said. That's particularly resonant with Rhodes, who left WWE in 2016 after a decade with the company. While he spent most of his time in WWE in the middle of the card, his last few years since leaving has seen him become a top attraction at promotions around the world. Cody Rhodes says, "It would be real easy to play the old songs, but we have to give the audience progressive, forward-thinking, sports-centered wrestling. Some of that will come from highlighting different styles of in-ring work, whether Southern-style storytelling, athletic showcases, tag team dynamics, brawling, or styles imported from Mexico and Japan. It may even get more violent than WWE's long-time PG programming. Representing the wrestlers in the best light is AEW's mission. Another core value is being open to inclusivity and diversity. According to the company's chief brand officer, Cody Rhodes' wife, Brandi Rhodes, who is a Black woman. Brandi Rhodes has worked in the wrestling business for most of the decade. And as a Black woman, a Black American woman, her career is marked by several milestones. Now her position at AEW makes her the first Black American woman to hold an executive position in a major North American wrestling promotion. A first that comes with the reality and the ability to affect change. Ms. Brandi Rhodes has spearheaded AEW's partnership with Culture City, a nonprofit that helps people with invisible disabilities such as autism, enjoys live events, which is censored. So some people can't take loud noises, so they'll give them earmuffs, but they figured out ways for people who have all types of sensory issues and things that you can't see, how to enjoy wrestling. That's the first thing they got right. We're looking at everybody as a wrestling star. Some people see wrestlers for other attributes they have, their race, gender, or sexuality. We just see this person as an incredible athlete, and we need them on our team. Nyla Rose is such athlete. Aside from an illusion about her transitioning during an interview on his YouTube channel, AEW has not turned Rose's gender into fodder for a wrestling storyline. Number two, that they got right and WWE gets wrong. That's a huge thing for me, Brandi Rhodes says, explaining that transphobic critics who say AEW is shoving her gender down their throats couldn't be more wrong. Nobody said anything. However, the critics and hecklers remain, whether online or at live events. It's a little hard to see hateful, spiteful vitriol being spewed daily. It doesn't cost you anything to use my proper nouns. That's how I identify. That's who I am. That's not a character. That doesn't go away when the camera stops rolling. While heckling is a part of the wrestling package, AEW has worked to remove hate speech from its events. It's awesome to have a company have your back like that, Nyla Rose said. They're taking steps as best as they can to make sure it's a safe space for everyone, so everyone feels welcome. AEW and TNT are banking that inclusion and diversity, along with a sports-centered approach to pro wrestling, will give them staying power, especially in the shadow of WWE, which is a multi-billion-dollar behemoth. WWE is certainly paying attention. In a move reminiscent of known as the Monday Night Wars, WWF went head-to-head with WCW, remember? WWE recently counter-programmed AEW's Wednesday night show by bringing the NXT program to USA Networks. If anything, the move makes AEW and TNT confident that they're onto something. It's really rare for a challenger to be on the offense right out the gate. And I'm surprised Vince went to defense as fast as he did, said TNT's CEO of product placement or brands. I don't think a monarch can last forever. Well, AEW has a vet on their team who is no stranger to the Monday Night Wars, and that's Chris Jericho. October 2nd, he will be jumping ship on to October 2nd. Jericho jumping ship to the then WWF was key turning point in that war, and he remembers how WCW paid too much attention to the other guys, and they paid for it. Chris Jericho said, "I don't care about counter programming. Put on NXT, put on the Super Bowl, put on the Return of Jesus Christ. We're just worrying about ourselves and worrying about putting on the best show we can." And I want to see it. With Nyla Rose, there's also an article from Deadspin that was written September 6, 2019. I like Deadspin. They have some good articles over there, and they talk about topics that are conducive to pro wrestling and the things that you guys don't want to talk about. Bigoted wrestling fans are getting loud, and promotions need to set boundaries. Now, we just got through saying that Nyla Rose feels like AEW is going to be all-inclusive and they're going to understand what's going on. Well, that's not really the case. And a lot of times, when it comes to white males or white people, they tend to tiptoe on the racism issue. They don't know how to handle it. They never experienced it, and all of these things and emotions happen, and it pisses off black fans, Asian fans, and other fans. And listen, white people, and you could go to Japan and get called the N-word. You could go to Brazil and the whole area, the whole arena could be full of dark-skinned Brazilians, and they will call you the N-word, and amongst other things. It's really just not conducive to wrestling fans in America. The problem is no one's saying anything about it, and it's ridiculous. So AEW top star and Vice President Cody Rhodes, when pressed on Twitter, seemed hesitant to call out the particular bullshit when Rhodes was announced as part of the roster in February. He felt it had amounted to signal boosting hatred. That's the problem. You're married to a black woman. And I quote, Brandy Rhodes said that he said he don't see color. And so she said, you don't see me. And he adjusted because he wanted Brandy Rhodes. And he ended up marrying her. So I'm assuming he knows. I have to feel like Brandy is explaining to him what he has undertaken when he dives into diversity, inclusion, racism, and all these things that come with pro wrestling and sports in general. But the negative element got noticeably louder this week thanks to inaugural women's title match part. A good deal of this, at least online, trafficked in exactly the generic transphobic insults you'd expect. But there had also been an extra layer of bad, filthy idiocracy. Tweets bemoaning Nyla Rose's inclusion because of fairness and safety. Pro wrestling is, in 2019 for many years, before pretty explicit a performance. which did not keep various online idiots from treating Rose's title shot as if it was a reprise of the brief career of trans MMA fighter Fallon Fox. Even by the very low standards that applied online when attempting to disguise bigotry as concern, this was extremely transparent. And on August 12th, David Meltzer reported that there had been complaints of some fans what has gotten to NXT management about bigoted chants at some of WWE NXT developmental circuit events, particularly the smaller shows in Florida that the newest recruits start on. Recent interviews had included a fan giving a Nazi salute to German wrestler Marcel Barthel. He stopped performing and asked the fan to stop. And multiple fans started saying some variation of Build That Wall at Mexican wrestler Humberto Carrillo. There was consternation over the offending fans not being kicked out in that case, even after a kick him out chant from other attendees. One NXT wrestler, Australia's Daniel Vaudit, a former rugby league player of Irish and Samoan descent, tweeted his frustration with harassing fans on August 4th, tagging the official NXT account in the process. And this is what he said. There is no humor in any type of racial stereotyping or immature displays of racial gesturing. We NXT superstars come into the ring with passion and professionalism, and we have no time or patience for anyone disrespecting enough in the audience to display such acts to these few. You know who you are. You might be fans, but you're no fan of mine. We have no tolerance and no hesitation to call you out and kick you out of the venues you try to disrupt with your ignorance. For the rest of our amazing fans, thanks for the love. It's Florida, and Florida is hateful. I'm just telling you that you are in the deep South, and no one has checked fans for a long time of their racism. And the thing that WWE has always gotten wrong was they put racism on display front and center and don't give a fuck. You know why? Because WWE's audience has historically been white males in the lower rung of the income bracket with no teeth and, cousin fuckers or whatever you want to call them. That's historically the wrestling audience. Now, as of the last maybe, I'm going to say 20 years, I'm going to say 15, 20 years, black folks have been coming in and wanting to see what the black guys can do. Other promotions got it right. You could follow different promotions on Instagram, and it's black people with belts. It was a whole faction of black people had every belt that the promotion had to offer. I said WWE would never. Look what you had to go through to get Kofi Kingston to get a goddamn belt. Look what you had to do. Please don't tell me about The Rock. The Rock is mixed and ambiguous, and even The Rock was made to play off his black side when he was in the Nation of Domination. Okay, and then after that, once he got his foothold and became The Rock, he went ahead and took that and ran with it. But it started with him running with a faction that was essentially the Black Panthers of wrestling. Here's an example that people, I think, would make sense if there's hecklers and they're racist and making other people uncomfortable. Battle Club Pro is a show this guy went to in July. He said that one is scaled fairly small, even by indie show standards, with the ring set up in the courtyard area at the back entrance of a public school. After the 6 wrestlers in the main event had entered the ring, one guy in the crowd keyed in on Darius Carter's monogram boots and yelled out, "The DC stands for Dick Chaser." This would be awful under any circumstances, but it's especially shocking at a show featuring a bunch of performers both inside and outside the ring. The dumb guy started yelling shortly after Anthony Bowles had just walked into the ring in a rainbow Love Wins shirt. The entire crowd turned in the guy's direction, muttering and yelling about whatever the hell was wrong with him. At which point promoter Joaquin Morales grabbed the microphone and asked what he said. When he found out, he kicked the man out. The crowd cheered. That's it. That's all you got to do. Somebody's yelling the N-word. Pause. Take them out. Let's continue. Simple. We still do deal with it in professional soccer or football We deal with it in football here in American football. We deal with it swimming, gymnastics, you name it. It's racism. I think the most on display is when they have World Cup and these folks are throwing bananas and shit at the soccer players and all that. It really doesn't make any kind of fucking sense, to be honest. We're all human, right? And we make missteps. Cody Rhodes is married to a black woman. You just said you had an inclusive roster with the transgender and other homosexuals on the roster, and everyone's different and everything's beautiful. Cody Rhodes issued an apologetic statement on Outsports on behalf of Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, AEW issued, who helped cheerlead a chant of the homophobic slur "puto" at a recent event in Mexico. Cody Rhodes insisted that he didn't know what the chant meant. Listen, you gotta do better. You gotta figure things out. You gotta navigate. You're coming into different waters. Puto, you gotta do better, Cody. You gotta do better. I think those are the things that a lot of other promotions get right and WWE gets wrong. Is inclusivity and diversity. Now, you can't just put people on the roster because they're, Japanese and Latino and black and clump them together and throw them out there and then we don't know what the fuck is going on. You can't do that. Australian, these are all different ethnics and nationalities. You can't do that. You need to respect these people and people who enjoy watching these people. Don't pull Buddy Murphy out because you're going to Australia. Don't pull out Kairi Sane and fucking Asuka because you in Japan. Don't pull out Kofi Kingston because he African and now he going on an African tour when you don't even tour Africa. Don't nobody go to Africa to do wrestling shows as far as I know. Don't put the belt on a black person because it's a fucking African, you know what I mean? Was it Black History Month? Which is what they did with I'm at a loss for words, which is what they did with my boy, What's Up? He won the U.S. title because it's Black History Month. What the fuck? Like, I don't understand. Don't roll out fucking Sasha Banks and, Zelina Vega because it's National Latin American Heritage Month. Like, don't do that. Don't be so obvious. Be inclusive and be respectful. If the person doesn't speak English, give them subtitles. You gave them two, the AOP, who I think are like, I don't know, I think they're some ethnic, European ethnic type dudes. Polish or some old, hardcore, whatever that Kurdish or Kurd or something. You gave them subtitles. You got them in the back over there with fucking Aleister Black telling people that they in suits and shit like they the mob finna fuck folks up and speaking a whole nother language. You gave them subtitles. Why couldn't you give fucking Andrade Cien subtitles? Why you can't give the Japanese girl subtitles? You got Shinsuke speaking Japanese, but you paired him up with Israeli Zayn and he yelling and skipping all over the place. He couldn't. Sami Zayn couldn't go to fucking Saudi Arabia because he's Israeli. He's Jewish. We were shot. Goldberg went. All of these things need to be navigated, understood, and properly done. So going forth, I hope WWE starts getting it right. We're watching NXT. I hope he gets it right. You got Bianca Belair. You got the Street Profits. You got Keith Lee. You got Dominic Dijakovic, who's white, but he's ethnic. You got Humberto Carrillo. You got some other Japanese folks over there. You just integrated 205 Live, so you bring in some other people over there. You got Leo Rush, who's black. People are watching. And black people want to see a representation of ourselves, whether you like it or not. Latinos want to see Andrade Cien and all the Latinos win a belt and walk around for a couple of months with a belt at the top. Why not? Be inclusive, WWE. That's the one thing you're getting wrong and you're fucking it up and it's glaring. And the way you treat the women, that blonde bombshell type of shit, you're going to have to move away from it. Move away from it. It's too fucking obvious because if Sasha Banks don't win this women's championship at this fucking Hell in a Cell, you're going to have to explain some shit to me. Y'all only got 2 black women on the damn roster, and motherfucking, I don't know where Naomi went, and we still trying to figure out the Sheenam, Ember Moon, what she is. You done jobbed her ass out to goddamn Southern Sassy Lacey Evans. I'm still trying to figure that shit out. And not only did you job her out, you made her tap the fuck out. Submit to one of the worst sharpshooters on the planet. So we gotta figure this out. And I'm watching. Diversity and inclusion. I'm watching. AEW's on its way. Still got some bumps in the road, but they're on their way. WWE, if you want to stay in the lane and you want to stay neck and neck, you better get better at it. And that's all I got for y'all. This is Wrestling in Color on YouTube. Please thumbs up and thumbs down this video. Hit the comments, subscribe, turn on notifications so you can have the conversation and get ready for what we finna talk about. And have a good goddamn day, right? All right, y'all. Till next time. Later.